Okay, everyone, welcome to Experience This, Season 3, Episode 5. Fantastic guest today, but we have here co-host Bruce. How you doing, Bruce?
I'm doing great, Christian. Really excited to be here with one of the young leaders in our industry, Jessie Fischer with GuestOS. We're really looking forward to hearing what you've been up to. You've been in this business literally since you were 12 years old. And let's hear about your story a little bit and really dig into what GuestOS is all about.
Awesome.
So, Jessie Fischer, tell us about yourself and your company.
Yeah, thanks for having me today. Let's see. I grew up in the hotel industry. My family bought a 12-room motel back in the 1970s just outside of Yosemite National Park. So only a resort that's located on the Merced River, which I think is one of the coolest differentiators. And yeah, over the years, continued to expand our footprint in hospitality. So today we have a footprint of vacation homes, two hotels, an RV park and campground. And I grew up surrounded by that. It's still family owned and managed. I was just up there for our annual Fisher family reunion. No better place than Yosemite to host that. And it's really cool. I was training our staff, who I've known since I was young, to onboard them to GuestOS. And it's just incredible to see the full circle industry, from when I was answering the phones and taking FITs, a lot of data entry and all of that, to now doing this. It's just really special.
That's
So,
great. I used to drive past your hotels. I used to drive a lot of tours to Yosemite. So I've been past them probably a couple of hundred times. For those that haven't been, I tell everyone that Yosemite is the best national park in the world. I haven't been to all of them, but that's what I'm sticking with. So I love Yosemite. You've been there, right, Bruce?
I have not.
Oof,
Yeah, I
that's a
have
mistake.
not. It
Yeah.
I
is.
know. I
It's
know a
on the
place
list.
you could stay.
I mean, it's bucket list material, right? For sure.
For sure. Yes.
Yeah.
I
And
think.
now I have a friend who has a hotel there or vacation rentals or whatever that I can give a call and say, where should I stay, Jessie?
Exactly. Happy to help you out there.
Yeah. So give us a little bit of the transition of your family owned motel to hotels to whatever properties. Then did you go to university or college for hospitality? And then what? How did you then start, do a startup, not only just a startup, but an AI powered startup?
Yeah, I did go to college for business. I think growing up in the industry and everyone kind of assuming you're going to take over the family business or work in that for the rest of your life kind of irritated me. And I was like, no, I'm not going to do that. So I went out and I worked in a lot of different industries: architecture, food robotics, fitness tech, nonprofit, education, technology, fintech even. And so I really and those were all super early stage startups from I guess pre-seed to Series C. And so I got front row seat. I was always right hand to the founders. And so really got that exposure to startups and really just loved how much I learned. And so that all kind of set the tone for being in startups. And then when GPT came out, I started managing vacation rentals 6 years ago. So I'd always managed 7 of them now, and many of them are on autopilot using AI. Awesome experiences still. And so then I realized that there's this opportunity to really provide hotel employees with more meaningful in-person, tasks instead of answering repetitive questions, which I've answered the same questions since I started working at the hotels when I was 12 years old. What time's check-in? What amenities do you have? All these things. And so now we're automating the mundane and providing hotel staff to have more meaningful jobs and provide like special experiences, more in-person interactions. And so it's been so exciting to onboard hotels. I've been doing that every week, and they bring their whole staff in, and everyone, I think there's like a little hesitation at first because they're like, AI, is it going to take my job? And then they start seeing what it is and how they can focus on in-person things and not have to do these repetitive questions all the time. And their face just lights up, and they're like so excited for it. And they reach out and they're like, when can we get this live? And it's just really cool to see that.
So Jesse, two things. Were you working on this pre-ChatGPT, and can you give us a quick like 30 seconds on how the app works, exactly what you're solving here?
Sure. I was not working on this pre-chat GPT. I was at a talk, a roundtable for AI native companies at Stanford University last week. And one thing that someone there said, which was caught my attention, was that AI native companies, he doesn't consider companies before GPT to be AI native, which, there's a lot of debate on that topic, but it did make me think a bit. And so GuestOS is an AI native company, and we can onboard hotels within minutes based on their website information. But we do have a more comprehensive onboarding where we have a template for what information we need, and then can really build that foundation of having all of the information and the personality of the brand. And everyone connects through a phone number, so we give them a phone number, which is our AI concierge. A lot of hotels are having a great time naming it because they have a story behind it. And so one hotel in Coronado down in San Diego named it after the owner of their hotel. And so it's really cool to see the personalization there, and the staff having a great time choosing voice accents and all that. But yeah, it takes the transcripts and automatically generates action items from those. And hotels are using GuestOS as their first point of contact. So the operator, assuming that most of these questions are already available to answer, like these questions are already on the website. And yeah,
so let's take a step back. Who's your classic customer right now, like your ICP? Is it a Coronado resort? Is it a brand? Is it a 3-star? Or because when you get to the 4 or 5-star, they have their own concierge that sits in the lobby. Where is your customer?
Yeah, it's been really interesting to see. We initially started out focused on boutique hotels, and then the more I have showed this, since I spoke at an AI and hotels panel for the California Lodging Association in December, and it's like every hotel, whether they are a boutique or a larger hotel, they need this automation for the repetitive questions. And so that's where we're seeing the real demand, the AI concierge, and even hotels that have their own concierge. Like I was just talking to the concierge at one hotel in San Francisco, and this is really a tool that helps them do their job even better and reach more people and give them more special experiences. And so we're seeing high demand from hotels that already have their concierges, because usually it's like 1, maybe 2, and they're not full-time. And so even just as a starting point to use GuestOS during off hours when they're not available or they're busy, so routing it there.
I used to run about 10 concierge desks in San Francisco, and pre-AI. And I like what you said about Stanford, because I just get irked by all these people that say, oh, we've been doing AI for like 10 years, 20 years. And my response is, you actually haven't. You have, but you haven't. This is different. It's completely new now. Your previous AI doesn't affect Gen AI. But anyway, the concierge would always push back. Anytime we tried to do anything with technology and email guides and all this stuff, they would always push back because they were all worried about losing their jobs. Probably rightfully so, because most of the concierges are gone. So are you going to the concierges, or are you going to I shouldn't say around them, but around them straight to GMs? What's your sort of approach?
Yeah, our first point of contact has been the GMs or the owners, and then we meet with the whole team. But I would say it's more about the decision makers at the hotels. So if they have a concierge, then they see how they can work together. But I actually, I guess, wow, a lot happens in a year. But last year I was chatting with the Hotel Association in San Francisco, and they're said GuestOS is great, all of this, but wait, there might be a conflict of interest because they partner with the Concierge Association of San Francisco. And so they thought, oh, this might sound like they're replacing them, and we don't want to create that. So I definitely have been meaning to reach out and have a conversation, do a presentation, and show how this is a tool that can actually help you. It's not meant to replace you, but a lot of hotels, like you said, staffing is a massive issue for all hotels. And so a lot of them just don't have concierges because they're focused on the day-to-day operations. And so this helps them.
So I want to dig into that a little bit. And this show is Experience This, and it's about experiences. And so far, you've really been focused, Jessie, on the easy questions and getting rid of those mundane questions that come into a hotel over and over again, so that the staff doesn't have to worry about that if GuestOS is doing its job right, and they can focus more on the fun stuff, providing access to experiences, favorite things to do in San Francisco, the best restaurants, blah, blah, blah. Let's go there. So now I am a concierge at the Hilton in San Francisco. And I don't ask, my job is not to answer questions about when's check-in, when's check-out, where can I store my bags, et cetera. I mean, maybe a little bit, but that's not really why I'm there. My job is to help people with experiences. So how does GuestOS help with that?
Yeah, and that was really our main focus when we first started GuestOS, but then we saw the demand from hotels being very focused on those 24/7 support, being able to answer those questions. But the experience side, I've seen at our own hotels and others I've stayed at, where they have so many venues and real estate that are underutilized. And so what the main thing about the other feature to help with those on-site experiences at hotels is to be able to curate personalized experiences based on the venues and the inventory that a hotel has. So for example, our hotel, we opened 10 new venues across all our properties over the past couple of years because we saw this blank space, amazing real estate right on the river as opportunities to provide unique experiences like picnics by the river. And so if someone guest call, they say, I'm celebrating my anniversary, I'm getting engaged, or I'm celebrating a birthday, whatever it is, then the AI is trained to provide suggestions based on that, what might be good for them. And then we have the calendar integration and payment processing integration. So we're not only using AI to help with the discovery, but also for the booking and payment processing. So the staff sees that in their platform and they handle the execution on site.
So where do you think, I want to kind of jump to where do you think this ends up? Because this is getting into AI agent, which it is, which I think you probably know is my favorite space. So I'm calling the number at the hotel at the Yosemite Lodge, and I want to know about check-in time, and I want to know about breakfast and stuff like that. But then why am I going to stick with you? And this is the problem with concierges from kind of day one, right? And it's the kind of it's the connected trip. Nobody's kept that customer within their brand throughout the trip. And I think in some ways that's solvable now with AI, but in some ways it makes it even harder because why can't I just have my agent or call Yosemite Lodge? My next question is about rafting. Why do I need to go back to you to ask that question rather than just go to ChatGPT, or in the future just use my own agent? And why does my agent care about you answering that question versus anybody else, any other agent? Do you know what I
Yeah,
mean?
I think that we're kind of in a bubble, especially being in Silicon Valley. Everyone has their own agents, their own GPT, you know. But a lot of these people coming are still calling the hotel directly. They're emailing. I'm still handling guest requests every single day. And I see this, and I see how when they call, they start to ask about check-in, and then that you go into this conversation about other things available, and river rafting and all that. So it's like every hotel gets to curate what you know, their knowledge base. So for me, I have local tips. I have favorite, you know, whitewater rafting companies, the restaurants, all of that. And so by putting that in our knowledge base, I've been to all these places. I know their excellent service. And so when people start asking what's there to do, then you can start providing them with answers. And I think that is what people start getting familiar with, because hotels are really pointing everyone to use the AI concierge they have for these suggestions on what to do, where to eat, and I think that's how it stays connected.
So you started with the idea of, okay, I'm at your hotel. What can I do, eating and doing things? And at your property, you built, you know, all these different venues. You've got the river, and you can have a picnic on the river, and that's all built in as an easy answer when you start asking. Now you're broadening that out to be the other experiences that are near the hotel, and you're curating that content. Where are you getting that content to curate? How much curation are you doing? Are you working with the intermediaries, you know, the OTAs that are in this business for bookability? You know, how does that all look?
Yeah, that's a great question. And I think it points back to how everything's so fragmented, and we're really trying to focus on the connected trip. And so as a traveler ourselves, you know, when we're going to a hotel and we're staying there, and I don't know, let's just say we're in Telluride or something, and we're staying at the hotel, but then we want to go do all these other adventures, and we have to go search on Vite or other websites. And so now we're really bringing that all to one place. And I think that there are a few different ways that people are doing this. For me, having been in Yosemite my whole life, I have developed these relationships with these companies, and I've done the tours myself, so I can curate it based on that. And also, you know, I joined the Yosemite Tourism Board in October, and I worked at Visit Berkeley my first year out of college. So really understand how tourism bureaus work and how they have you know, their whole focus is on bringing visitors and promoting all of the businesses within that destination. So that's been a really that's a good source of information that hotels like to point us towards if they don't have their own restaurant on site, they don't have their own activities on site, then they will oftentimes either use theirs based on their own experiences, or will go provide us with the tourism bureau's suggestions.
So, Bruce, I get annoyed with personalization, and I've got like 5 things I get annoyed with. You don't like connected trip. What's your problem?
You know, it's not I don't like connected trip. I hate connected trip.
Okay.
Because I just don't think the way it's been defined by the guy who keeps saying it over and over again isn't, and you already said it, doesn't make sense. Like, just because I bought an airline ticket from you or a hotel from you doesn't mean I'm going to use you for every piece. The best definition that I've heard of connected trip was on this show from Mindtrip, and the way they look at this thing, where they look at the customer first. And if you start with the customer and stay connected, if an app or an agent or tech like Hotel OS can keep the customer in the center, then that's connected. But that's different than what I think the definition of connected trip is, where I buy everything from the same person. I just don't buy it.
Well, yeah. I mean, we can agree there's lots of different definitions of connected trip. If you're Expedia or Booking, who are the ones that talk about this, obviously their connected trip is based on hey, buy everything from
Buy
Booking.
everything from me.
Of
And
course.
that's the connected trip I hate, basically.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah.
But that's everyone's goal. But I think that's interesting because that's what Booking and Expedia have been talking about this for 20 years and they've done nothing. And they keep saying they've connected this and they've done nothing in 20 years. And that's why I think they're in a difficult situation now. But point is they have distribution, they own distribution. So I think actually is a quite an interesting thing for Jessie because you get these trip planners that have started out without distribution, built these fantastic tools. Now they have to get distribution. But starting with being in the hotel on day one gives you that hotel's distribution as yours, right? And that's quite sticky.
Well, there's
Is
a
that-
different connectivity there, right? So I'm
yeah,
a guest at this hotel. I bought the hotel. I booked it, whether it was through a third party or direct. And now, if GuestOS does what it sounds like it does, that connects me to give me opportunity to do all the stuff around the hotel, making it a quote unquote connected trip for that piece.
Right.
I get that.
yeah,
And that makes sense. Yes.
yeah.
But that doesn't mean I booked a hotel directly. I booked an airline ticket through this. It's just once I get to the hotel, there can be that stickiness, that connectivity. But what I'm also really curious about, Jessie, is in Yosemite, you personally, you are an expert, right? Like you can go around, you know, who are the best whitewater rafting guides? Who are the best tour guides to go around the park? Who are the best people to go climbing with at Yosemite? You know all of that. So you can absolutely provide that content to any hotel in the Yosemite area. But how's this going to scale beyond Yosemite and what you know? And you talked about, you know, also at Berkeley, because you must have gone to school in Berkeley or what have you. What do you know about New York or London or Paris to take GuestOS and do it there? That's the
Yeah.
question I have at this point. And I'm wondering, before you answer, is this maybe more of a B2B product that you put in the hands of the right players? You know, I'm thinking of my friend Maddie Rifkin. I don't know if you know Maddie, who has the company Mount, who works with vacation rentals, and she's trying to connect vacation rentals to experiences, and might be able to really use GuestOS as part of the tech that's being offered. I have no idea. We'll have to ask her.
Yeah, I think two things here, and one is more on your connected trip. I will say that GuestOS is the source that we use for guests to discover what's out there. And the idea is to remove the middleman. So it's just direct from end to end. The guest wants whitewater rafting, we connect them directly. Then they're handling the execution of their business. So we're not trying to become all these other businesses. We're making it more efficient for everyone. And so the discovery, and that goes back to what you just said. It's like how the quality of your AI concierge is based on how good the quality of the data you have. And we're really focused on that, getting verified information. The more information you have on a destination, the better. And so we create a playbook for every single, whether it's hotel or a destination, to compile all of this information on everything that a guest might ask, because guests stay at hotels, they sleep there, but they ask hotels a lot of information, what to do in the area, and they really are looking at the hotel to provide them with that information. And so we're getting a lot of demand from other tour operators or, like you said, vacation rentals, because GuestOS, it's a phone call. Everyone knows a phone. You just call and you can start asking these things, and it's to everyone's best benefit if it has the highest quality information. And so by doing that, it is it's just really important for all of the travelers, and also to your point, we are a B2B2C company. So hotels are who pay us, and then their guests are the ones using it.
So back to Bruce's the first part of that question, because he spoke too long, obviously, and ended up with 4 questions. But the first part is scaling it, And I see this as your biggest challenge. So I do this prompt, and I've done it since ChatGPT, and it's riding a bike from right behind your right ear, just below the sun there, across Chrissy Fields, through the Presidio, across the Golden Gate, right to behind where you're standing, the Marin Headlands. And if I do a search for that now on ChatGPT or DeepSeek or Gemini, or I'm guessing Grok 3, since Grok's the best as of last night, um, it's brilliant. It knows as much as the staff at Blazing Saddles, which is the bike company on Fisherman's Wharf, about every twist and turn and photo stop and exactly how to do that on a bike. I see that as your biggest challenge. So you say it's as good as that information, which is what Bruce was talking about with Yosemite, but how are you better than just ChatGPT for telling somebody what to do in London?
Yeah, and I think that goes back to how people are accessing the information. They Not every single person is, using GPT as a trip planner, but they are asking their hotel for this information. And so that's where you're really getting people to ask you and getting users, because they're already paying to stay with you. So they're already there. You're meeting them where they're at. And you asked about scaling, and as everyone in the hospitality industry knows, we're an industry based on relationships built, and so through that we are partnering with people who have been in the industry for a long time, have built those relationships, and really see the benefit in using GuestOS for all of these businesses. And so onboarding them, and we'll be launching a program soon. We've had a lot of people reach out to us all over the world saying, we've been in the tourism hospitality industry for decades, and we want to sell your service to other hotels and tour operators. And so really defining that process, because at an early stage like this, your culture and your brand is everything, and maintaining that high quality is really important. So having they'll have to pitch to me and show how they onboard hotels, and really make sure that that's aligned with the brand. But that's how we're focused on scaling.
I think we're going to lose Bruce in a minute before you jump. Do you have any more questions, Bruce? Because I want to get into the trip planning side of it.
Yeah, and you don't need me for that part. So no, but I think you answered a question, Jesse, that I have, which is when I mentioned Guest OS could be a B2B, and you came right back and said, no, we are a B2B2C. That is what we are. But then right there, you just, I think, hit on what I probably meant, which is you could go around the world and find distribution partners who could then sell GuestOS to hotels around the world. Right? So it is still the same business model. It's just finding, you can't cover every hotel in the world. You have a product that is awesome for hotels. So if you find the right networks that could sell into those hotels, would be what I was thinking about without even realizing it as B2B. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I see. Okay. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. And as you know, because every hotel that we onboard is a destination, we get more information about, and all of that information. So that's where you start to become the main source for people to call. Like, I'm visiting Cambodia for the first time. Where should I go? How should I do this trip? In fact, we're in discussions with the decision makers to power the tourism for entire countries. So the playbook that I mentioned before, like there's one for hotels, there's one for destinations, and yes, we're seeing a lot of demand across.
Yeah, there's a lot of, I mean, you're going to be moving different ways. Just
right.
Stay on that core product, and there's a lot of opportunities for it. I do have to jump. I apologize to both of you. And I will introduce you to Maddie from Mount, if you haven't met her or heard about her. But you guys share something in common. You both started your businesses when you were 12 years old.
Oh, awesome.
So you have a lot in common. You'll love each other, and I'll make sure I'm going to do an intro, and who knows, maybe you'll even do business together. So
yeah, super cool.
See, I know you know Andy from Mind Trip. I know you know because I've seen you guys together, and we went to an event last week
Yeah.
together. And I always ask him, and I've asked him since I first met him, which is an AI question, and I ask him about POIs, right? Points of interest, and does he maintain a database of points of interest? And it's kind of like the last question. Is I'm still trying to work out, and we're 2.5 years in, if there's value in having that knowledge base of points of interest, or if the chat GPT just runs straight over that and you'll never actually know more than chat GPT itself. And that's not this it's not a problem, but what do you think? Is there value in having that data long term in your knowledge base versus just the AI model?
Well, for us, our data strategy is the unique information we get from guests, their preferences, and that's how I think where the data strategy really comes into play, because then as they travel from I don't know, across different locations, and you really learn their preferences, you don't have to ask or wonder, like a lot of these apps, I think, what is it, Marriott, it's everywhere, but you still have to ask you like your preferences each time or something like that. And it's just like, you, with AI, you should already know this, and you should spend your time curating new experiences, new trips, not repetitive things. So I think that's where you really get into that play, the unique data strategy. So if you have unique information on preferences and all of that, which we're getting because we are you know, people are calling this and sharing information on what they like doing and all of that. So it's really optimal for being able to provide guests with what they actually like. But I think, like you said, for things that are more general, like destinations, trip planning, it's the data strategy becomes a little different there, right?
Yeah. I get annoyed with the personalization stuff, so I'm not gonna start on that because I'll get annoyed because I think that happens on the fly now. But so
Right.
the other thing, and it's kind of linked as well, is I'm seeing a lot, maybe since DeepSeek. So you know about DeepSeek, but for those that don't, DeepSeek's the fairly new Chinese Gen AI model, which kind of came out in December, but made a big splash. When was that? 2, 3 weeks ago, whenever that was, and it's one of the top few models now. But and people were talking about that being important because everyone's now got these really good foundation models. So ChatGPT is just one of 4 or 5 now, and it doesn't seem to be that expensive to train them. Um, and then what I'm seeing around that is that these wrappers, which again, you know what a wrapper is, most people probably don't, but that's where people just built these really kind of thin apps that really are just ChatGPT with a different UX or different UI on the front. People at the start were saying those are a waste of time because those are going to be run over by ChatGPT. Whereas I've been reading the last few weeks, people are saying actually that's totally fine. It's all about the UX, and it's all about having that distribution. It's all about having that contract with hotels or whatever you're doing. So has that fallen into your lap, or did you always think that was going to be the way, or is that the way it's going to be?
Yeah, I think I'll bring up the AI native roundtable conversation again, because that was another topic of discussion, defensibility. And you know, the three things again were access to distribution, the expertise, domain expertise, and then also data strategy. What as models become more available and universal, what unique data are you able to bring? And that's those three things are really the moats still.
Yeah, I'm starting to buy into that. I didn't really think that was going to be, with the other technical thing, the deep research, which for those that don't haven't been following that, that's where these new like O1 models where it goes off and it thinks about it for a minute or two or half an hour, and everyone's got those models now as well. But I'm not finding that to be that good because it's going off and it's usually searching. And when it's searching the internet, and the internet's full of junk data created by humans and not very well structured. And it's
Exactly.
not coming back with good results for me. So I am starting to think that AI is going to learn where the good search data is, and it's going to find good sources, and it'll keep going back to that rather than search because it'll never know how reliable that search data is.
Exactly. And that's another thing that differentiates us is we actually take the data directly from our customers. So we're not if the knowledge base does not have the answer, then the AI will take their information, get back to them, and then we'll add that to the knowledge base. But we're not actually taking, we're not using GPT to just go hallucinate and all of that. So we're removing the risk there. And hotels, a lot of these customers really feel much more confident, with that control. And also it's just the accuracy. I would early on when we were deciding the product roadmap, and that was a topic of discussion. And most of the time it would have these incredible answers and itineraries, but then it would say talk about some spa that a hotel didn't have, and I'm like, no, okay, we need these guardrails, let's just do it like this. And that also positions us to get that unique information that, things that tour operators or companies and people who have been in this space for decades and know the ins and outs that aren't available online, like that unique information. And that's the differentiator for this, I think.
Yeah, it's kind of bringing us back to a weird place. So you've got the AI which hallucinates, which we all know, and
Yeah,
then I always push back on that and say, well, humans hallucinate all the time,
for
and they
sure.
don't have very good memories and all this stuff. So you've almost got this place where you've got the foundation model, which has its pre-training and knows kind of everything, but hallucinates, versus this knowledge base, which is kept up to date by humans, which is probably got gaps and has human hallucinations. And it's almost like a race between those two to see who's going to have the best information in the end. And it's quite difficult to merge those two, right?
Exactly. And I think that's where it comes in by having those verified sources and reliable information on the data. Like, for example, we could have, let's say you have the best memory ever, and you get all these guests from all around the world with different interests. And they call you and ask for information on this. It's just the way that AI can handle it, knowing all of these things versus a human is different. Like, that experience is different. And then not to mention, so many of these calls are well, here, I'll say this. Front desk employees, their job is not to be a concierge, it's not to be a trip planner, it's not to provide all of these best things, but they get asked that all the time. When I'm traveling somewhere new, I ask them because they're local, right? So you would hope that they can provide that information, but it's really not their job to do that. And so by providing your AI concierge with all of this information that the hotel has verified, you're giving every single one of your guests that opportunity to experience those local spots or whatever the hotel recommends. And also the multilingual part is massive. So that's been really exciting as well.
Yeah, I think that's one of the easiest things to see, isn't it? Multilingual in travel is such an obvious kind of win, and it's just so good now. So kind of just getting towards wrapping up, your future, are you going to stick in the concierge slash hotel space, or because you could be a concierge for anyone, you could go and partner with an OTA or a traditional tour operator and be their concierge. Or what's your intention here, or is it just kind of see what works?
It's been an exciting, it'll be 1 year on March 13th that I started GuestOS. And so really, even just from the start where you think this is our very specific focus, hotels, and then you see the demand, especially at a time like this where AI is changing everything, and the businesses that don't adopt AI into their core operations will be be suffering in the future. And so we're focused on hospitality, so including hotels, tour operators, and we're really focused on that core technology. So not having to change that for these businesses within the hospitality and tourism industry. We're using the same technology to onboard them. So and then this because we've chatted a few times recently, but when we power the AI hotlines for the Los Angeles wildfires, when the public lines were not working, I've lost 2 homes to wildfires myself. I've called the public lines and they didn't work, and it's just like such a terrible feeling, feeling like you can't get any information in the most critical times. And so that opened a lot of doors and a lot of demand within the crisis response and public sector space. And so given my personal experience with both hospitality and the crisis response space, we'll be focused on those 2 industries to start.
Yeah, I think that's an interesting space, that crisis. We talked about this, but you get this period of, I don't know how long it lasts, 24 hours or a week or something, of just chaos and information everywhere and people demanding to know now what's going on with my house or anything. And there's no kind of knowledge base of that stuff. So I think that's a really good application. Last question, because you're in San Francisco, obviously you have to be fundraising because that's what people do. Are you fundraising? And what sort of stage are you at? And how do you see that developing?
Yeah, it's a great question. So our initial round, we close and we will be opening up a new round soon, announcing that with our expansion into this, new sector and the demand. We've been onboarding new customers every week, and so the hiring is going directly to hiring talent. It's a super exciting time, and yeah, just getting everyone onboarded to AI in this space. And so really exciting. And you mentioned earlier, actually, I meant to mention this, but we joined Florida International University, their school, their Chaplain School of Hospitality, which was one of the best in the world. They were joining them on two sides. So GuestOS is part of their AI and ML integration class. This spring, I'll be taking it myself. And also their lead researchers won a grant from the Statler Foundation to study AI concierges in hotels. So it couldn't be more perfect.
Wow.
So we'll be able to, be documenting this in a systematic way so that really a lot of those in the industry can use it, and as well as the academic world.
That's great. Last question. Have you tried, do we even have access to Grok 3? Is it even out yet? Or is it just for special people?
Where there's a will, there's a way. So I'm sure
Right.
we can figure it out. I haven't actually tried it yet though.
It's top of the charts on all the charts apparently this morning, but we'll see where that ends up.
Yeah, we'll have to have like a sync where we just chat about our all of the different models, because
Yeah, it's hard to trust Elon with information these days. It might be the
I know.
best, it might be complete
Yeah,
misinformation, but
right.
we'll see where it ends up.
Exactly. It's an exciting time to be alive.
Yeah. All right. Well, hey, it's been great to catch up, and best of luck. If people want to reach out to you because they want to invest or become a customer or have a chat, what's the best way to reach you?
I'm on LinkedIn, Jessie Fischer, or Jessie at GuestOS.ai.
Okay. Great.
Cool.
Thanks very much. And let's catch up again in the future and we'll get an update and see how
For
it's all been
sure.
going.
Yeah,
All
this
right.
is awesome. Thanks, Christian.
All right. Thanks, Jesse. Take care.
Bye.